everyone. Welcome to Elemental Flows. My name is Christina, and thank you for joining me in today's practice. Today, I have about a 40-minute session for you prepared. It will be a vinyasa flow, but specifically, we'll work on opening up the chest and the back, and then also get more into the core. So let's begin. We'll start by lying down on our mats, but on our stomachs. So come down onto your mat. Both hands can be at the top of the mat. Just rest one hand on top of the other, and then place your forehead on top of your hands. Now let's take these first few moments just to settle into our practice. And we'll begin with just one deep breath all together. So on an inhale, let's breathe in through the nose. And exhale out through the mouth. Allow yourself to really seep into the mat here. Allow the mat to support the full weight of you. And notice where you might be holding any tension or strain in your body right now. If you're holding on to anything, just try to breathe into those spaces and try to allow your body to relax. We'll begin our practice today by taking the left knee out to the side so that it comes out to a 90-degree angle, and just hold it here. Notice what shifts in your body as you move into this pose. And again, take note of where you may be holding any tension, and then just try to release those areas. We'll bring that leg back to meet the right. Now we'll bend the knee and reach around with the left hand so that we can grab hold of the foot if we could reach it. And now let's press that foot into the hand to just deepen the stretch a little bit. Release the foot, release the hand. We'll keep that knee bent, and then we'll lift our knee so that we can bring that left leg or the left foot over towards the right. And you can place the foot down onto the floor if you can reach it, or you could use the block to bring the floor a little bit closer to you so you can rest your foot on it. Or you could keep the leg lifted up in the sky if this feels most comfortable. Let's come back, bring that left leg back around, and we'll do that sequence on the other side. So let's begin by taking that right knee out to the side at a 90-degree angle and hold it here for a couple of breaths. Bring that left leg back to meet the right, and we'll bend into the right knee so that we can reach around with the right hand and grab hold of the foot. Let's release that right hand, bring it back around to the top of the mat. We keep that right knee bent, and this time we send the right foot over to the left. Bring that right leg back around to meet the left. And we'll take the hands and bring them on both or either side of our chest here. And let's do some baby cobras. So on an inhale, let's press into the hands to lift our chest slightly off of the mat. Exhale to release the chest back down. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale, let's lift up. See if you can go a little bit higher this time. Exhale, release the chest back down. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Now let's lift ourselves back up. We're going to take our forearms out in front of us so that we're resting on our elbows here to come into our Sphinx pose. So open up the chest in this position. Still continue to lift out through the crown of the head here. And release the chest back down. Let's press into the hands so we can send our hips back towards the back of the mat to meet the heels, and we'll come into a child's pose. So I'm taking a closed-legged variation, but you can go into a wide-legged stance if you prefer. Let's lift ourselves up now into a neutral tabletop position. And from here, we're going to press into the left hand so we can lift that right arm up to the sky and look for height out of those fingertips here. And on an exhale, we'll send that arm down and through over to the left side so we could rest the side of our head onto the mat here. Let's press back into that left hand so we could reach that right arm back up once again. And then drop that right hand to the mat. We'll repeat that on the other side. So press into the right hand to lift that left arm up to the sky. And then on an exhale, let's send that arm through over to the right. Press back into that right hand to lift yourself up, and again, send that left arm into the sky. And then on an exhale, bring that left hand down to the mat. From here, let's tuck the toes underneath us and engage the core, and then press into the hands and feet so we can lift the knees about an inch or so off of the mat. Still think about holding an elongated spine in this position and reaching out through the crown of the head here. And then gently lower the knees back down. Now we're going to take that right foot and send it towards the back of the mat. And then we'll lift the leg so that it's parallel to the floor here. Notice what changes in your body as you do so, and engage the core to find your balance here. Once you have your stability, lift that left arm into the sky out in front of you. Hold it for a breath here, and then on an exhale, we'll bend the knee and elbow into the chest. On an inhale, let's stretch back out once again, straighten the leg and arm, and then drop the knee and the hand down to the mat. Let's try that on the other side. So first we begin by taking that left foot towards the back of the mat, and then lift it so that it's parallel to the floor. Engage the core here. Find your stability before taking that right arm and extending it out in front of you. Hold it for a breath here, and then on an exhale, we'll bend the knee and elbow into the chest. On an inhale, let's reach back out with our arm and leg, and then drop the knee and hand down to the floor. Let's walk our hands forward now. In this position, we rest our forehead on the mat to come into our puppy pose here. So again, still engage the core. If you want to intensify the stretch, you could come up onto your fingertips here. Just try not to overarch the spine. And then let's drop the hands down. If you were on your fingertips, we're going to walk our hands back a little bit so that we could tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back to come into our first downward facing dog. So notice if there's any additional tension in the body and just open up into those spaces. And come to find stillness in your downward facing dog. Let's look towards the top of the mat, then walk the feet towards the hands. On an inhale, we'll press the hands into the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale, we release the chest towards the thighs. And ground through the feet first before coming up to a standing position with arms following up overhead. Then press palms together and bring them down through heart center. Excellent. Let's do a few rounds of sun salutations just to warm up our bodies a bit. So on an inhale, we'll reach up with the arms, look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press the hands into the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale, release, hands meet the mat. We step back into a plank position. You could come down to your knees here. Let's bend the elbows to lower ourselves down through our chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up to come into upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release the chest back down. Let's press into the hands, tuck the toes, send the hips up and back to come into a downward facing dog. Hold it for a breath here. Then walk the feet look towards the top of the mat, and then walk the feet towards your hands. On an inhale, we press up to a flat back. Exhale to release, chest meets the thighs. Ground through the feet first before coming up to standing with arms following up overhead. Press palms together, bring them down through heart center. Let's go again. Inhale, we look up. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, press the hands to the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale, release, hands meet the mat, step back into your plank pose. Bend at the elbows to lower down through your chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release the chest back down and tuck the toes, press into the hands, come back into your downward facing dog. Take a breath here and look towards the top of the mat and walk the feet to the hands. Let's press the hands to the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale, we release, forward fold. Ground through the feet first before coming up to standing with arms following up overhead, and press palms together, come through heart center. One more round here, a little bit quicker. Inhale, we look up. Exhale, we fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, release, hands meet the mat. Step back into your plank pose. Lower down through your chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release the chest, tuck the toes, come back into your downward facing dog. Take a moment here. Find your breath again. Now let's look towards the top of the mat and walk the feet back to the hands. Now from here, let's bring the feet together so that the big toes are touching. And we'll take a deep bend in the knees so that we could swing the arms forward and up to come into a chair pose. So engage the core here. Our biceps are by our ears. Shoulders are away from the ears. Gaze is neutral and looking forward. And then if you want to intensify your chair pose, see if you can lift the heels off of the mat here and test your balance. Now everyone straighten the legs. Let's go back into our forward fold. Now from here, the left leg is going to remain straight, but we're going to bend into the right knee. And our right hand remains on the mat. Our left arm extends into the sky. So we open up the chest here towards the left. And then let's bend into both knees now. As we do so, We take our hands so that they meet in a prayer position, and we're still maintaining this twist towards the left side. Let's turn our gaze back towards neutral. Everyone straightens their legs, come back into a forward fold. We'll repeat that on the other side. So this time, the left leg bends, the right leg remains straight. We keep that left hand on the mat and our right arm extends into the sky. Remember to keep breathing here. Now let's take a deep bend in both knees. As we do so, we bring the palms together, maintain the twist towards the right side. So still keep thinking about opening up your chest and looking up towards the ceiling. Good, now everyone releases, drop the hands back to the mat as you straighten your legs. And then from here, we'll walk the feet out a bit so that they are hip-width distance apart. And then turn the toes out to 45 degrees. We're going to start to bend the knees so we can lower our hips down to the mat. If you want to take a block, you can place it underneath you for additional support. Make sure you maintain the integrity of the spine here by keeping it straight and reaching out through the crown of the head. The palms are together and we use our elbows to press out our knees a little bit more. Now let's drop the hands down to the mat. Let's start to straighten the legs once again as we lift the hips up to the sky. As we do so, we turn the toes back so that they face towards the top of the mat, and then slowly begin to roll up to a mountain pose. We're going to cycle through those two postures a few times. So on an inhale, let's turn the toes out. As we do so, we reach up with our arms, press the palms together, and then slowly start to descend by bending the knees and lowering your hips down into your garland pose. Drop the hands down to the mat, and then let's straighten the legs. As we do so, we turn the toes so that they face forward, and then roll up to standing. Let's do a couple more times. Turn the toes out on an inhale as we reach up, press palms together, and then on an exhale, let's bend the knees and come down. Drop the hands down to the mat, and then let's straighten the legs as we lift the hips, turn the toes so they face forward, and roll up one more time. On an inhale, we reach up. Exhale, we descend. Now from here, hold your garland for a little bit. Drop your hands once again down to the mat, and then lift the hips up as we straighten the legs, turn the toes so that they face forward. Now this time, let's not roll up to a mountain pose. Let's just hang here. So think about releasing your low back. Allow your head to hang heavy. You could have your hands on the mat, or you can grab your elbows here. You could add some movement side to side if that feels good for you. Now come to a neutral position if you added some movement. Everyone drops their hands to the floor now, and we'll step back into our plank pose to go through a vinyasa. So on an exhale, you can go down to your knees still if you like. Let's go down through our chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up to upward facing dog or cobra. Release the chest back down, tuck the toes, press back into your downward facing dog. Take a breath here. And now let's lift that right leg into the sky. We'll then bend the knee, bring it forward into the chest so we can place that right foot down on the mat. Let's lower that left knee, swing the arms forward and up to come into your low lunge. Send the hips forward here. Make sure your shoulders are away from the ears. Reach out through the crown of the head and out through the fingertips here. And on an exhale, we're going to arch our spine as we cactus the arms and bend at the elbows. Now drop your hands down to the mat. We're going to send the hips towards the back of the mat. And as we do so, we straighten that right leg and flex that right foot for a half split. While we're here, think about elongating the spine so that you're not curling in into your thigh here. Now walk the hands forward towards the top of the mat. As we do so, we bend back into that right knee. That left hand remains on the mat, and we take that right arm up to the sky. Turn the torso towards the right here, and again, think about opening up the chest to the right. Now let's bring ourselves up. We take that right hand. It could go either to your thigh, onto the floor, or on a block. We take that left hand and send it towards the back of a mat. So we're in a reverse lunge here. Drop that left hand back down onto the mat. As we do so, we bend that left knee. Still continue to reach back with that right hand. And if you can grab hold of your foot, do so. And press the hand into, or press the foot into the hand as we continue to open up the chest to the right. Now gently release the foot back down to the mat. Tuck the toes so that we can lift that left knee off of the floor. And then we send that right arm back up into the sky. Let's drop that right hand down on the inside of the right foot. And then we walk that right foot over to the edge of the mat to come into your lizard. So take whatever variation feels comfortable on this side for you. So you could drop onto your left knee if you like, or you could come down onto your forearms or onto a mat or onto a block here. You could add some movement, open up the right foot to the side, do whatever variation you feel like your body is calling for right now. Now come up onto your hands. If you're on your forearms, lift that back knee up. If you had it drop to the mat, we'll press into the hands so we can lift that right foot, send it towards the back of the mat, and let's go through our vinyasa. I'm lowering to my knees as I go through my chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. Release the chest, tuck the toes, press back into your downward facing dog. Take a moment here. Connect back to your breath. And let's repeat that on the other side. So this time we begin by lifting that left leg into the sky. And then bend the knee forward into the chest so we can drop that left foot down on the mat. We drop the right knee as we swing the arms forward and up to come into our low lunge. Send the hips forward here. Make sure that left knee is directly over that left ankle. And now let's arch the spine as we bend at the elbows and open up the chest. Now let's drop the hands down to the mat and we'll send the hips towards the back of the mat so we can straighten that left leg and flex that left foot. Again, remember to elongate the spine here. And let's walk the hands forward once again. We bend back into that left knee once again. The right hand stays on the mat, and we twist towards the left and reach the left arm up to the sky. Let's take that left hand back behind us. Again, find whatever position feels good for you for your left hand. And then we reach back with our right arm to come into a reverse lunge. Let's bring that right hand back down to the mat, and then we bend into that right knee. The left arm extends back, and if you can grab hold of the foot, do so. We continue to open up the chest to the left side. Still continue to drop the hips here. Press the foot into that left hand. Now let's gently release that foot. We tuck the toes so we can lift that right knee off of the mat, and we reach our left arm back up to the sky. Now let's drop that left hand on the inside of the left foot, and we walk that left foot to the outer edge of the mat and find your lizard here on the left side. So again, take the variation that feels good on this side. And note that it might be different from what felt good on your right side. Come back onto your hands. If you are on your forearms, lift that back knee up if you had dropped it. And then we'll press into the hands so we can lift that left foot back. And let's go through our vinyasa. So bend at the elbows to lower down through your chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up to come to upward facing dog or cobra. Release the chest, tuck the toes, press back into your downward facing dog. Now let's lift that right leg back up into the sky, and we bend the knee, bring it forward into the chest so we can drop that right foot down on the mat. We lower that back knee once again, swing the hands forward and up to come back into your low lunge. See if you notice any changes in contrast to the first time that you were here. Now we'll tuck the back toes so we can lift that left knee off of the mat to come into our high lunge. Check to make sure that that right knee is over top of that right ankle. And then from here, we're going to open up the hips and chest to the side. As we drop that back heel, lower the arms to shoulder height, gazes forward to come into our warrior two. Let's straighten that front leg now, and we'll reach forward until you can reach no more. And then drop that right hand down to the mat as we send that left arm up to the sky. Now you can take a block here and place it underneath your right hand if you want to bring the mat a bit closer to you. But from here, we will bend into the right knee. As we do so, we swing that left arm down and around to come into our side angle pose. So you could keep the hand here or on a block, or you could come up and rest your forearm onto your thigh. We're going to cycle through those two postures though. So on an inhale, let's straighten that leg once again as we extend that left arm into the sky. And then let's bend back into the right knee as we swing that left arm down and around for a side angle pose. Let's reach our left arm back up and come into our triangle. And on exhale, let's swing the arm back down to come into our side angle. One more time. On an inhale, we go into our triangle. Exhale, swing the arm down and go into your side angle pose. Now we'll once again just go back into our triangle pose, but this time we'll take that left hand down to meet the mat and we'll twist towards the right side and lift that right arm into the sky. So again, your left hand can still rest on a block here, and you could even shorten your stance a bit if that helps you in this pose. Continue breathing here. Now we'll drop that right hand down to the mat. Everyone shorten your stance, and we turn the toes, the left toes, so that they're on a 45-degree angle. We're going to come into our pyramid pose here. So on an inhale, press into the hands to lift the chest up. And then on an exhale, let's lower and bring our chest closer to our thighs. Now everyone bend back into that right knee. We walk our hands a bit forward so we could come up into our warrior three. So we lift the left leg so that it's parallel to the mat. That left foot is flexed so that the toes face towards the mat. And you can use blocks here if you like to rest your hands to bring the floor a bit closer to you if you're working on your warrior three. Or if you have your warrior three, you could come up and take whatever variation with your hands that you prefer. We'll stay here for one breath, and then let's slowly begin to lift ourselves into a standing pose. We're going to swing our foot down, so try not to allow that left foot to touch the mat. We'll bend the knee so that we come up to standing here, engage the core, think about grounding through that right foot. And the last bit of strength here, we're going to extend that left leg out in front of us. See how much height you can get. It's okay if your leg is here. I just want you to maintain a straight line so that you're not leaning forward or back. And then gently release that foot back down. And let's go through our vinyasa. So on an inhale, let's reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up to flat back. Exhale to release, hands meet the mat. We step back to a plank position. Let's lower down through our chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up to upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release. Let's tuck the toes, press back into your downward facing dog. Take a breather here. I am definitely noticing the effects that this practice is having on my body, and I hope you are too. We'll repeat that sequence now on the other side. So we begin by taking that left foot into the sky, then bending the knee and bringing it forward into the chest so we could drop that foot down on the mat. Let's release that right knee down to the mat as we swing our arms forward and up to come back into our low lunge. Again, notice here how it feels. Notice if there's any difference from when you were first in this position. Now let's tuck the back toes so we can lift that knee off of the mat to come into our high lunge. See how low you can sink into your hips here. Make sure your shoulders are away from the ears and you're reaching out through the crown of the head and the fingertips. Now we'll open up the chest and hips to the side as we lower the arms. Drop the back heel, turn your gaze so that it's forward just past your fingertips. Make sure your shoulders are directly on top of your hips here so that you're not leaning forward or backwards. Now let's straighten that front leg. And as we do so, we lean forward with our left hand and then drop that left hand down to the mat and reach that right arm up to the sky. So we're in our pyramid pose. Again, your left hand can be on a block if that's more comfortable for you. And now we will cycle to our side angle pose. So bend into the left knee. We swing that right arm down and around so the bicep is by the right ear. And you could keep your hand down here or on a block, or you can lift the left forearm so that it rests on your thigh. On an inhale, we'll straighten that front leg, bring that right arm back up to the sky to come into our pyramid. And on an exhale, we cycle, bring that right arm down and around to come into our side angle pose. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale, go into your pyramid. Exhale, bend that knee. Bring the arm down and around to go into side angle. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Let's go back into our pyramid one more time. So straighten the left leg. And then from here, we're going to drop that right hand so it meets the mat. And this time we turn and twist the torso towards the left and bring that left arm into the sky. Again, adjust your stance here if you need to. Keep your right hand on a block if you want to. Just think about opening up the chest to the left. Now let's drop that left hand down to meet the mat. I'm going to adjust my stance here. As I do so, I also turn my toes so that my right toes so that they're on a 45-degree angle. My hips are facing forward here towards the top of the mat. And on an inhale, I elongate my spine. Exhale, drop the chest a bit closer to that left thigh. Now let's bend into that left knee. Once again, we walk our hands forward so that we can lift that back leg and lift it up so that it's parallel to the floor. Flex that right foot so that the toes are facing towards the mat here, and find the variation of Warrior 3 that you want to take. So your hands can still be down on the floor or on blocks, or you can lift yourself up. Now engage the core as we begin to lift ourselves up. Try not to allow your right foot to touch the mat. And let's bend that right knee in so that we try to bring it up to our chest here. Find your grounding in that left foot. And our last bit of strength here, we're going to extend that right leg out in front of us. Hold it here. I'm going to choose to take my arms up, but again, find whatever variation you want with your hands. You could also place it on your hips here or keep them in prayer. And then slowly begin to lower that foot back down. Let's go through a sun salutation. So on an inhale, we reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, press up to flat back. Exhale to release, hands meet the mat. We step back into a plank position. Lower down through your chaturanga. And slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release the chest, tuck the toes, press back into a downward facing dog. And hold it here for a breath. And then let's slowly begin to bend our knees and bring them all the way down to the mat. And we'll press back into a child's pose. So you could take a closed-legged version or a wide-legged version. We'll take this pose just to reset. So notice the effects that this practice is having on your body. And reconnect back to your breath if you lost it. Let's make our way back up. Walk the hands back towards you. And then we're going to swing the legs around so that we come into a seated position on our mat. So legs are straight out in front of you. And we'll begin here by first bending into the left knee and then taking hold of the left foot and bringing it over to the outside edge of the right thigh. Let's take the left hand back behind us. On an inhale, we'll reach that right hand into the sky. And then on an exhale, we twist over to the left side. So try to look towards the back of the mat here. And think about the twist coming from your core as opposed to just using your upper body. Now you could stay here if you like. If you want a bit more of a challenge, I invite you to take the right hand to grab hold of the left foot, and then we're going to extend that left leg into the sky on a 45-degree angle. And then we still turn towards the back of the mat on the left side, so we're in a twist here. And if you want to go a little bit further, engage the core before you lift that left arm up into the sky. And if you want a little bit more of a challenge, again, engage the core, make sure you find your stability first, and then release that right hand and try to maintain the lift in that left leg. Good, now everyone turns towards the front. Let's do a quick fold just to reset. So on an inhale, we reach up with the arms. Exhale, fold over both legs, round the spine here, and then we're just going to roll ourselves back up. And we'll repeat that on the other side. So now let's take the right knee, bend it in towards the chest, and then bring that right foot over so it's on the outside edge of the left thigh. We take our right hand behind us this time, and on an inhale, we reach up with the left hand or left arm, and exhale, we turn towards the right. Now, if you're going a little bit further, take that left hand to grab hold of the right foot, and then let's extend that right leg into the sky at a 45-degree angle. You can hold it here. If you want to go a little bit further, engage the core to find your stability before lifting that right arm towards the back of the mat. And if you're choosing the additional challenge, release that left hand and keep that right leg lifted in the sky. Now everyone turns towards the top of the mat, and let's do one more quick fold to reset. On an inhale, we reach up. Exhale, we fold. Roll yourself back up. We'll do one last pose to test our strength here. So let's start by bending the knees first. Make sure that you elongate the spine and then slowly lift the shins into the sky, or lift the feet into the sky so that the shins are parallel to the mat. And then we can take our arms out in front of us if we have that balance. Engage the core here. Remember to open up your chest and keep that spine long. And then we slowly, inch by inch, extend the legs as we lower ourselves all the way down to the mat. And once you get to the mat, you could settle in here. And we'll do a few last asanas here before we wrap up our practice. So let's first just take both knees into the chest, wrap the arms around the shins, and tuck the chin into the chest to give yourself a nice hug here. You can rock side to side if that feels good for your spine. And then release the legs back out to the mat. We'll begin here by
first bending the left knee into the chest and just hold it here for a moment. Now let's take that left knee and bring it out to the side so that it's in line with your shoulder. Then we lift the sole of the foot into the sky, reach on the inside of that left thigh and grab hold of the outer edge of the foot. We're coming into a half happy baby here on the left side. So press that hand into the foot to try and lower the knee a little bit closer towards the mat. Now let's bend the right knee so that the foot comes to meet the mat. And we're going to guide our left foot over to that right thigh so that the ankle rests on top of the right thigh. And then we'll reach through to grab hold of our right hamstring. And then we'll use the hands to press and bring our legs closer towards us. So we're kind of in this figure 4 position. Make sure the left foot is flexed so that you protect the left knee. And now the legs will stay exactly where they are. We're just going to take the legs over to the right side. And they could either meet the floor, or you can use a block and place it underneath your left foot to bring or elevate the floor so that it's a bit closer to you. We extend that left arm out to the side and turn the head towards the left. And if this is too much for you, you can take any variation of a supine twist. So you can just have the knees together in a 90-degree position and guide them over to the other side if you like. Or you could take any other variation that you prefer. Let's lift those legs back to the midline, and then we'll repeat that on the other side. So let's extend the left leg out to meet the mat this time. We keep the right knee bent and bring it in towards the chest. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. Now we'll move the right knee out to the side so that it's aligned with our shoulder, and then raise the sole of the foot to the sky. We reach on the inside of our right thigh and then grab hold of the outer edge of our foot. Press into the foot with the hand to bring the knee a little bit closer to you. Now from here, let's bend that left knee. We guide that right foot over so that the ankle rests on top of the left thigh. And then we reach through with our hands to grab hold of the left hamstring and then bend the elbows to bring our legs a bit closer to us. Keep that right foot flexed here. Now let's twist over to the left side so the legs stay exactly where they are. We just tilt our legs so that they meet the ground on the left side. That right arm extends out to the right and we turn the head to the right. And again, you could take any variation with your legs that you like here. Remember to listen to your body and give it what it needs right now. Let's bring the legs back to center now. And we'll do one last stretch here. So straighten the legs so that they meet the mat. We take the arms up overhead, and on an inhale, let's just try to elongate the body here. And exhale, release. Now take the arms by your sides. We'll come into our final resting pose, or Shavasana. So if you haven't already, I invite you to close your eyes. Reconnect back to your breath. And take note of the effects that this practice has had on you and your body. Notice how you may feel now in comparison to how you felt at the beginning of this flow. Now I invite you to stay in this Shavasana a little bit longer if you like. And let me know how this flow was for you in the comments. But otherwise, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And I hope to see you at the next one. Bye for now.